it is official. You need to take a stand and pick a side. This side of the table or that side of the table. Hi guys, Lauren Shehadi, Jamey Eisenberg for Fantasy Stardom Situm. Jamey and I are playing each other in fantasy football. This week, you can either be on my team or his team.
It's just so unfair. We have an all-male audience, and they're just looking at you. I mean, what is this?
You make the decision. All right, first order of business.
Root for her. Please root for her. She's going to lose anyway. Root for her.
No way. Jamey, 6 teams with a bye this week. Let me ask you this. What are the Manning brothers doing this weekend? Just chilling?
No, they're probably making commercials. That's all they do. They're on TV all the time. You're going to see them doing commercials. That's what they do. Sit all these guys. Sit everybody for the Lions, Colts, Dolphins, Giants, Seahawks, and Patriots. If you have Tom Brady, sit him all season long. These guys are not going to help you this week, so let's get to some guys that will help you out, Lauren.
All right, well, there is one good piece of news. Cleveland or Cincinnati, one of those teams is going to win, right?
Well, they could tie.
They could. Oh, that would be bad.
Well, the way it's been going so far. You know what? I think you're going to see these teams play the over because there's going to be a lot of points in this game. Both defenses are not good at this point, and I think you'll see that the fantasy options on these teams will surprise you this week. Typically, we would not say to start guys like Braylon Edwards and Chris Perry and Carson Palmer and Derek Anderson. We could run all throughout the lineups because they've been bad through 3 weeks so far. Bengals got it together a little bit in week 2, but you know what, Lauren? I think week 3, they got it together in week 3. Week 4, we're in week 4. Week 4, they'll start to play a little bit better.
Speaking of Braylon Edwards, you brought him up. Let me ask you this, Jamey. Will Derek Anderson struggle through him?
No, I think you'll see Anderson probably have his best game to date. It's interesting because there's talk of Brady Quinn potentially being the starting quarterback. This team is 0-3. They are desperate to remain in the playoff hunt, and this is a big game in the division, in the state, big rivalry. I think you'll see them come out. Braylon Edwards will hold on to the ball. He's been plagued with drops. He has a good history against the Bengals. 4 touchdowns in 2 games last year. I think Kellen Winslow will come out, and also Jamal Lewis. So I think all of the Browns are good starts this week, especially Braylon Edwards.
What about sitting at wide receiver? You have Torrey Holt. His numbers leave a lot to be desired. It's still early, but not looking good so far.
Well, let me ask you something, Lauren.
Okay.
Trent Green is now the new starting quarterback for the Rams. Do you trust Trent Green as your starting quarterback?
I don't know if you trust the Rams in general, truly.
Well, the Rams typically at home have been good. They had a good game week 2 for them so far. But Trent Green, Mark Boulder is not the fault for what's going on with St. Louis. And I think to make this move, it's a little bit hasty. I still think you're going to, Torrey Holt's going to put up decent numbers at home because traditionally he does. But Trent Green is not the type of quarterback to get him the ball. I just don't trust the scenario right now. And Buffalo's defense is really good.
Okay, so we're sitting Torrey Holt. Starting at quarterback, Carson Palmer. He hasn't had a good year, but this is only week 4. You're saying he's going to give owners their money's worth this week.
Yeah, I think this is the time to trust him. He showed some glimpses in week 3 at the Giants. The Giants defense is very good, and I think, again, he has a really good history in this matchup. 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in his last 5 games, over 1,200 yards passing. So he's going to put up big stats here again. This is going to be a high-scoring game. I think you'll get big points from Palmer this week, and again, Anderson as well.
1 touchdown, only 3 picks. You saying there's only room to go up. Let me ask you this. Where is the love for Drew Brees? 400 yards, you're saying, sit him.
You know why? Let me ask you again. If you don't have Marquez Colston, you don't have Jeremy Shockey, you don't have the best receiving threats for Drew Brees, can you count on him when he doesn't have his best guys to throw to?
He looked poor in Washington. He was stifled. He had 2 interceptions, but last week he looked incredible. You're saying not this time around, though.
I just think San Francisco's pass defense has been good, and you talk about Drew Brees again with no Shockey, with no Colston. Obviously, some of the secondary receivers for New Orleans has played well. Robert Meacham's finally making some headway. We've seen David Patton, Lance Moore, Devery Henderson. These guys have stepped up. He obviously has the best receiving running back in Reggie Bush, but San Francisco's pass defense has been really good. They did a great job against a good pass offense in Detroit last week, and I think you'll see the 49ers key in on this Saints passing game, key in on stopping Brees. They're not going to stop Bush. They're not going to stop Pierre Thomas, and Pierre Thomas is a good sleeper this week. So I just think with Brees, obviously I'm in the minority. Typically, I would not say to sit Drew Brees, who's a must-start almost every week. But again, the matchup, no real threats to throw to at this point because of the injuries. I just think you'll see Brees struggle a little bit.
Okay, what about Big Ben? Obviously struggling with that hand injury. His hand is his weapon. No hand, no go, or what?
Yeah, don't forget the shoulder as well. That's been a problem so far this year also. I think when you look at what Roethlisberger is going through right now, the offensive line is not playing as good as it has been. They're starting to see that they miss Alan Faneca, who's now with the Jets. Philadelphia came after Pittsburgh, 8 sacks on Roethlisberger, and they really beat him up, which is why he had the hand injury on top of the shoulder injury. And now with Willie Parker dealing with his injury, not going to play in this game, so you're going to see Rashard Mendenhall, a rookie who has a little bit of problems fumbling the ball. He showed that in the preseason. I think if they can't run the ball, they're forcing Ben Roethlisberger into a lot of 3rd and longs. You're going to see, again, that Ravens defense. They're very aggressive. They're going to come after Roethlisberger. Again, in the minority. You're not typically going to sit Ben Roethlisberger. But this week, these 2 guys, I just don't know if you can count on them that you can in most weeks.
Can you count on Jonathan Stewart? D'Angelo Williams getting a lot of carries, but you're saying Jonathan Stewart's going to go the distance.
You know what, Lauren? Jonathan Stewart's our start of the week in the print version of Stardom and Cinema, and I just love what he's done so far. 3 touchdowns. He's leading rookie running backs in touchdowns so far. I think that's going to be the case throughout the season. He's going to be a touchdown guy. You know, D'Angelo Williams is going to be the starter, going to get the carries there, but I still think you'll see Stewart get the touchdowns in a great matchup. The Falcons have allowed a rushing touchdown in each game so far this year, and Stewart has 3 touchdowns his last 2 games. I think he gets in the end zone, and I think you get him about 80, 90 yards rushing. He's going to be really good this week.
You know who's also getting in the end zone? Lendale White. Not getting in the end zone, Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson's kind of doing the brunt of the work. Lendale White's getting in the end zone.
Yeah, and this week both guys have a tough matchup. I'd probably sit both these guys this week, White and Johnson, but Johnson's the guy we're going to focus on because Minnesota's run defense is as good as it gets. They've allowed 3 rushing touchdowns, but only 2 to running backs, and I think you'll see them. They started to flex their muscles a little bit in week 3 against Carolina, had that defensive game that I think we all expected. Tennessee, they are really a one-dimensional type team because they don't throw the ball with Kerry Collins. Not a lot of weapons there when you're talking about Justin Gage still being banged up, Algie Crumpler not playing well. You know, really it's just Justin McCarron, and as we know, Justin McCarron isn't that great of a receiver, so they're going to depend on their running backs, and I think you'll see Minnesota keying on stopping those 2 guys. If Johnson's not getting into the red zone, then White's not getting into the end zone. Both those guys are going to hurt your fantasy team.
You are giving me advice to the enemy. I'm taking notes over here.
You know, I have to play Chris Johnson against you because some of my other running backs are on a bye, so that only helps your cause there. So go ahead, make your plea again.
Talk is cheap, Jamey. Let's just get it done on the field, and we'll see where we come out, huh?
I guess so. You did beat Leslie Visser, your idol there. So I think
that's right. She's
that's
pretty darn good.
Yep, she knows her football.
She does know her football. Jason Horowitz knows his football as well. Fantasy football today, every Sunday, 11 o'clock. Be there. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.